History is often told through the lens of a few familiar names: Alexander the Great, Cleopatra, Napoleon. But what about the rulers who shaped the world just as profoundly, yet faded into obscurity? Hidden within the pages of time are kings and queens whose legacies were monumental, yet their stories remain untold. Who were these forgotten figures, and how did their actions ripple across centuries, influencing the course of history in ways we're only beginning to uncover? Today, we're stepping into the shadows to bring these remarkable rulers back into the light. From visionary leaders who revolutionized their societies to unconventional monarchs who defied expectations, we'll explore the lives of 20 forgotten kings and queens whose impact was nothing short of transformative. Why does their absence from the history books matter, and what can we learn from their reigns? Join us on this journey through time as we rediscover these extraordinary figures and piece together the untold chapters of our past. Prepare to be surprised, inspired, and perhaps even challenged by the stories that history nearly erased. Let's begin. Monarchs have long been the architects of civilizations, wielding power that shaped not just borders but the very fabric of societies. From sweeping political reforms to groundbreaking cultural advancements, their decisions rippled through time, leaving legacies that endure even when their names have faded. Think about it: every law, every innovation, every shift in culture often traces back to a ruler who dared to challenge the status quo. Yet, history is not always fair. The passage of time is littered with gaps, biases, and the simple reality that not every story was recorded or preserved. Many rulers, despite their monumental contributions, slipped through the cracks of historical memory, overshadowed by more dramatic tales or political narratives that favored certain voices over others. So, why does it matter to revisit these forgotten figures? Because history isn't just a collection of famous names or dramatic events. It's a tapestry woven from countless threads, each one essential to the bigger picture. By uncovering the lives of these overlooked monarchs, we gain a more nuanced understanding of how the world evolved. These rulers often held the keys to pivotal moments that laid the groundwork for cultures, economies, and even modern systems of governance. Their absence from the mainstream narrative doesn't diminish their impact. It simply means we've been missing a piece of the puzzle. Take, for instance, our first figure, a ruler whose story is as fascinating as it is forgotten. This monarch didn't just lead a kingdom, they transformed it in ways that still resonate today. Their journey sets the stage for the rest of our list, serving as a reminder that greatness often lies in the shadows, waiting to be rediscovered. Let's uncover their story and explore how one person's vision can change the course of history, even if their name has been lost to time. Step back in time to 15th century Korea, a land of rugged mountains and fertile valleys, where society was deeply rooted in tradition yet ripe for transformation. It was a time when literacy was a privilege of the elite, accessible only to those who could master the complex Chinese characters used for writing. For the common people, the written word was a distant, unattainable dream, one that kept knowledge and power firmly in the hands of the aristocracy. But everything changed when a visionary ruler ascended the throne. King Sejong the Great. King Sejong's reign, which began in 1418, was marked by a profound commitment to his people's well-being. Though his name may not be widely recognized outside Korea, his impact is nothing short of extraordinary. Sejong was a polymath, a scholar, inventor, and leader who believed that true progress could only come through education and innovation. His most enduring legacy, the creation of Hangul, the Korean alphabet. Prior to Hangul, writing was a labyrinth of Chinese characters that took years to learn, leaving the majority of Koreans functionally illiterate. Sejong saw this as a barrier to progress and sought to change it. In 1446, he introduced Hangul, a simple yet elegant writing system designed to be accessible to everyone regardless of their social status. With just 14 consonants and 10 vowels, Hangul was revolutionary, easy to learn, yet capable of expressing the full complexity of the Korean language. It democratized literacy, empowering ordinary people to read, write, and participate in the cultural and political life of their nation. Today, Hangul is celebrated as one of the most efficient and scientifically designed writing systems in the world, a testament to Sejong's ingenuity. But Sejong's genius didn't stop there. He was also a pioneer in science and technology, funding groundbreaking projects that were far ahead of their time. He supported the development of astronomical instruments, agricultural innovations, and even early versions of rain gauges and water clocks. His curiosity knew no bounds, and he actively encouraged scholars and inventors to push the boundaries of what was possible. What's remarkable is how Sejong's legacy continues to shape modern Korea. From the global popularity of K-pop and K-dramas, which rely on the beauty and precision of Hangul, to Korea's position as a leader in technology and innovation, the echoes of his vision are everywhere. How many other rulers can claim to have transformed their society so profoundly that their work is still felt centuries later? King Sejong's story is a reminder that true leadership isn't just about power, it's about leaving the world better than you found it. As we reflect on Sejong's reign, it's worth asking, what does it mean to be a leader who truly serves their people? And how can one person's vision create ripples that last for generations? These questions linger as we turn to our next forgotten monarch, whose story is equally compelling and full of surprises. Now, let's journey to 17th century Africa, a continent rich with diverse cultures and kingdoms, yet increasingly under threat from European colonization. Along the west coast of Central Africa, the Portuguese were expanding their influence, seeking to control trade routes and exploit resources. It was a time of upheaval where the balance of power was shifting rapidly. Amid this chaos, one figure emerged as a beacon of resistance and strategy, Queen Nzinga of Ndongo and Matamba. Her story is one of courage, cunning, and an unyielding determination to protect her people's sovereignty. Nzinga's rise to power was anything but conventional. Born into the royal family of Ndongo, she faced numerous challenges, including the untimely deaths of her father and brother, which thrust her into a leadership role during a time of crisis. The Portuguese, determined to dominate the region, had already established a foothold, exploiting local alliances and sowing division. But Nzinga was no ordinary leader. She was a master strategist, blending diplomacy with military prowess to outmaneuver her adversaries. One of her most famous moments came during a tense negotiation with the Portuguese. To assert her authority, she refused to sit on the floor as was customary for envoys, instead demanding a chair, a powerful symbolic act that forced the Portuguese to recognize her as an equal. This wasn't just a show of strength, it was a calculated move to cement her position as a legitimate ruler. Over the years, Nzinga would use similar tactics, forging alliances with neighboring tribes and even the Dutch to counter Portuguese aggression. But Nzinga's brilliance extended beyond the battlefield. She was a visionary who understood the importance of unity. By uniting the kingdoms of Ndongo and Matamba, she created a formidable force that could withstand external pressures. She also embraced progressive policies, welcoming refugees and former slaves into her kingdom, bolstering her army and strengthening her people's resilience. Her ability to adapt and innovate in the face of overwhelming odds is what made her such a remarkable leader. Queen Nzinga's legacy is one of defiance and empowerment. For nearly 4 decades, she resisted colonial forces, becoming a symbol of African resistance to European domination. Her story reminds us that leadership isn't just about power. It's about the ability to inspire, unite, and fight for what's right, even when the odds are stacked against you. As we reflect on Nzinga's life, it's worth considering, what does it take to stand firm in the face of overwhelming adversity? And how can one person's courage spark a movement that echoes through history? These questions linger as we turn to our next forgotten monarch, whose story is equally extraordinary and full of surprises. Picture this, the ancient Indian subcontinent, a land of towering mountains, fertile plains, and bustling cities, where diverse cultures and faiths intertwined. It was here, in the 3rd century BC, that the Maurya Empire rose to prominence, becoming one of the largest and most powerful empires in the world. At its height, it stretched from modern-day Afghanistan to Bangladesh, unified under the rule of a dynasty known for its military might and administrative brilliance. But among the Mauryan rulers, one name stands out not just for his conquests, but for his extraordinary transformation, King Ashoka. Ashoka's early reign was marked by ambition and brutality. Determined to expand his empire, he waged a relentless campaign against the kingdom of Kalinga in what is now Odisha. The battle was bloody, claiming countless lives and leaving the land scarred. But something shifted in Ashoka in the aftermath of this victory. Witnessing the devastation he had caused, he was overcome with remorse. This moment of introspection became the catalyst for one of history's most profound personal and political transformations. Rejecting violence, Ashoka embraced the teachings of Buddhism, dedicating himself to peace, compassion, and moral governance. He issued edicts carved into stone pillars and rock faces across his empire, promoting ethical conduct, religious tolerance, and the welfare of his people. These inscriptions, some of which survive to this day, reveal a ruler deeply committed to justice and the well-being of all, regardless of caste or creed. But Ashoka didn't stop at moral reforms. He was also an innovative administrator, implementing policies that improved infrastructure, healthcare, and education. He built roads, hospitals, and rest houses for travelers, fostering connectivity and care across his vast empire. His emphasis on dharma, a concept of moral law and duty, guided his rule, making him one of the first leaders to prioritize ethics as a cornerstone of governance. Perhaps his most enduring legacy, however, was his role in spreading Buddhism beyond India's borders. Ashoka sent emissaries to neighboring kingdoms, including Sri Lanka, Central Asia, and even as far as Egypt and Greece, sharing the teachings of the Buddha. This missionary effort laid the foundation for Buddhism's growth into a global faith, shaping cultures and civilizations across Asia for centuries to come. Ashoka's story raises profound questions about leadership and redemption. Can a ruler truly change their ways, and if so, what does it take to leave a positive legacy in the wake of past mistakes? His journey from conqueror to peacemaker challenges us to reconsider what it means to lead with integrity and purpose. As we reflect on Ashoka's legacy, let's turn to another forgotten ruler whose life offers equally compelling lessons about power, innovation, and the human spirit. Imagine a land nestled between the towering peaks of the Caucasus Mountains and the shimmering waters of the Black Sea, a place where east meets west and ancient trade routes intersect. This is medieval Georgia, a kingdom that flourished at the crossroads of empires, its culture enriched by the diverse influences of Byzantium, Persia, and the Islamic world. Amid this dynamic backdrop, a figure emerged who would redefine the role of women in leadership and elevate Georgia to new heights: Queen Tamar. Tamar's ascension to the throne in 1184 was historic. She was the first woman to rule Georgia in her own right, a groundbreaking achievement in a deeply patriarchal society. But she didn't just break the glass ceiling, she shattered it, proving that leadership knows no gender. Her reign, often referred to as Georgia's Golden Age, was marked by a series of remarkable accomplishments that transformed her kingdom into a dominant regional power. One of Tamar's greatest strengths was her ability to balance military prowess with cultural innovation. She expanded Georgia's borders through strategic campaigns, securing key territories and repelling invading forces. Her victories weren't just about conquest, they were about protecting her people and ensuring their prosperity. Under her rule, Georgia became a haven of stability and growth, attracting scholars, artists, and merchants from across the known world. But Tamar's legacy extends far beyond the battlefield. She was a patron of the arts and architecture, commissioning stunning works that still stand today. The iconic Vardzia cave monastery, carved into the cliffs of southern Georgia, is a testament to her vision and devotion. She also fostered a cultural renaissance, supporting literature, music, and religious scholarship, which cemented Georgia's identity as a beacon of enlightenment in the medieval world. Her reign is celebrated in Georgian folklore and history, where she is often depicted as a wise and just ruler, a protector of her people, and a figure of almost mythic stature. Stories of her leadership, her compassion, and her unyielding determination have been passed down through generations, inspiring pride and admiration. Queen Tamar's story is a powerful reminder of what's possible when leadership transcends societal norms. In a time when women were often sidelined, she not only claimed her place at the helm, but also redefined what it meant to be a ruler. Her achievements invite us to ask, how does breaking barriers shape the course of history, and what can we learn from those who dare to lead differently? As we marvel at Tamar's legacy, let's explore another monarch whose life offers equally profound lessons about resilience, innovation, and the enduring power of leadership. Now, let's set sail across the vast Pacific Ocean to a place of lush volcanic landscapes, vibrant traditions, and a rich cultural heritage pre-colonial Hawaii. Before European contact, these islands were home to a complex society governed by a system of chiefs and kapu, sacred laws that dictated every aspect of life. It was a world of both beauty and tension, with rival chiefs often vying for control. But amidst this fractured landscape, one leader emerged to unite the islands and forge a legacy that endures to this day: King Kamehameha the Great, also known as Kamehameha. Kamehameha's rise to power was anything but ordinary. Born around 1758 during a time of prophecy and political upheaval, he was said to be destined for greatness. After proving himself in battle and demonstrating exceptional leadership, he set his sights on unifying the Hawaiian Islands, a feat no one had achieved before. Through a combination of military strategy, diplomacy, and sheer determination, he brought the islands under one rule by 1810, creating the Kingdom of Hawaii. What set Kamehameha apart wasn't just his ability to conquer, but his skill in governing. He introduced a system of laws known as the Mamalaho, or Law of the Splintered Paddle, which emphasized justice and the protection of the vulnerable. This code, rooted in compassion and fairness, became a cornerstone of Hawaiian governance and remains a symbol of his visionary leadership. But Kamehameha's brilliance extended beyond laws and governance. He was a master diplomat, skillfully navigating the increasing presence of European and American traders and missionaries. While he welcomed new technologies and ideas, he was deeply committed to preserving Hawaiian culture and traditions. He understood that unity wasn't just about political control. It was about safeguarding the identity of his people in the face of external pressures. Today, Kamehameha's legacy is woven into the fabric of modern Hawaii. His unification of the islands laid the foundation for a strong, cohesive nation, and his commitment to cultural preservation resonates in the proud traditions that continue to thrive. Statues of Kamehameha stand as reminders of his enduring impact, and his story inspires discussions about the importance of unity and identity in an ever-changing world. What can we learn from Kamehameha has ability to balance progress with tradition? And how does his legacy challenge us to think about the ways we preserve our own cultures in the face of globalization? These questions linger as we turn to another forgotten monarch, whose story offers equally powerful insights into leadership and resilience. Transport yourself to the banks of the Nile River in the 15th century BCE, a time when ancient Egypt was at the height of its power during the New Kingdom period. This was an era of grandeur where pharaohs commissioned sprawling temples, towering obelisks, and elaborate tombs to showcase their divine authority. Yet, among these rulers, one figure stands out not only for her achievements but for the audacity of her reign: Queen Hatshepsut, one of Egypt's most successful pharaohs and one of its most controversial. Hatshepsut's story begins with her stepson, Thutmose III, who was heir to the throne but too young to rule. As regent, Hatshepsut initially governed on his behalf, but within a few years she took the unprecedented step of declaring herself pharaoh. This was no small act. In a society where kingship was inherently masculine, Hatshepsut had to navigate complex cultural and religious norms to legitimize her rule. She adopted the traditional regalia of a pharaoh, including the false beard and kilt, and even depicted herself in statues and reliefs with masculine features. Her reign was marked by remarkable achievements in both diplomacy and infrastructure. Hatshepsut launched ambitious trade expeditions, most notably to the fabled land of Punt, a journey that brought back exotic goods like incense, gold, and ivory, enriching Egypt's economy. She also initiated monumental building projects, including her mortuary temple at Deir el-Bahari, a masterpiece of ancient architecture that harmoniously blends with its natural surroundings. These projects not only demonstrated her devotion to the gods, but also solidified her legacy as a ruler who prioritized stability and prosperity. Yet, despite her successes, Hatshepsut's reign was nearly erased from history. After her death, Thutmose III and later pharaohs systematically defaced her monuments, removed her name from records, and sought to erase her memory. Why? Theories abound. Perhaps it was an attempt to reassert traditional gender roles, or maybe it was a way to legitimize Thutmose III's own rule. Whatever the reason, her erasure speaks volumes about the complex interplay of power, memory, and identity in ancient Egypt. It wasn't until the 19th century that archaeologists began piecing together Hatshepsut's story, uncovering her forgotten legacy and restoring her place in history. Her rediscovery raises intriguing questions. How do we remember those who were deliberately erased from the record? And what does their absence tell us about the societies that sought to silence them? Hatshepsut's reign challenges us to rethink what it means to lead and to leave a lasting impact. Her story is a testament to resilience, ingenuity, and the enduring power of a legacy that refuses to be forgotten. As we reflect on her life, let's turn to another ruler whose achievements were equally groundbreaking and whose story, like Hatshepsut's, deserves to be remembered. Now let's journey to the 13th century, a time when the Mongol Empire stretched across continents, a sprawling dominion that connected the East and West like never before. At its helm was Kublai Khan, the grandson of the legendary Genghis Khan, a ruler whose ambition and vision transformed the empire into something entirely new. While Genghis Khan was the conqueror, Kublai was the consolidator, the leader who sought to build, not just to destroy. His reign marked a turning point in Asian history, one that blended cultures, economies, and ideas in ways that still resonate today. Kublai Khan's most significant achievement was his conquest of China and the establishment of the Yuan dynasty in 1271. This wasn't just a military victory, it was a cultural and political revolution. For the first time, a foreign ruler sat on the Chinese throne, and Kublai worked tirelessly to bridge the gap between Mongol traditions and Chinese customs. He adopted many aspects of Chinese governance, from administrative systems to the civil service exams, while retaining key Mongol practices. This delicate balance was no easy feat, and it raises a fascinating question. How do you rule an empire where the rulers and the ruled come from vastly different worlds? One of Kublai's most ambitious projects was the revitalization of the Grand Canal, a massive waterway that connected northern and southern China. By improving its infrastructure, he not only facilitated trade but also strengthened the economic unity of his empire. This was more than just an engineering marvel, it was a symbol of his commitment to integration and progress. Yet Kublai's reign wasn't without challenges. His efforts to balance Mongol and Chinese identities often led to tension, and his reliance on foreign advisors sparked resentment among the Chinese elite. Despite these struggles, his legacy is undeniable. He opened China to the world, fostering trade and cultural exchange along the Silk Road. His court became a hub of innovation, attracting scholars, artists, and travelers from across Eurasia, including the famed Venetian explorer Marco Polo. Kublai Khan's story invites us to reflect on the complexities of ruling a multicultural empire. How do you honor the traditions of the past while embracing the possibilities of the future? And what does it take to lead in a world where diversity can be both a strength and a challenge? His reign offers no easy answers, but it reminds us that leadership is often about navigating contradictions and finding common ground. As we leave the vast steppes of Kublai's empire, let's turn to another ruler whose life offers equally compelling lessons about power, innovation, and the human spirit. Picture early 18th century Britain, a nation in flux. The Glorious Revolution had reshaped the political landscape, and the winds of change were blowing across the British Isles. It was a time of new ideas, shifting alliances, and the slow but steady emergence of a united kingdom. At the center of this pivotal moment was Queen Anne, the last monarch of the Stuart dynasty, a ruler whose reign would leave an indelible mark on history. Queen Anne's ascension to the throne in 1702 came at a critical juncture. England and Scotland, though sharing a monarch, remained separate entities with distinct governments and interests. Anne saw an opportunity to change that. With determination and vision, she championed the Act of Union in 1707, a historic agreement that merged the two kingdoms into the United Kingdom of Great Britain. This monumental decision laid the foundation for the modern British state, creating a single parliament and paving the way for a shared identity that would shape the course of history. But Anne's reign was far from smooth. She faced significant personal and political challenges, many of which tested her resolve. Beset by poor health, she endured 17 pregnancies, none of which resulted in a surviving heir. She also navigated a turbulent political landscape. Factions within her government often clashed, and her reliance on trusted advisors such as Sarah Churchill, Duchess of Marlborough, sometimes led to controversy. Yet, despite these obstacles, Anne proved to be a steady and capable leader, steering the nation through a time of profound transformation. One of her most enduring legacies was her role in fostering a sense of unity and stability. Beyond the Act of Union, she supported the Church of England and worked to strengthen the monarchy's role as a unifying force in a divided society. Her reign also coincided with the War of the Spanish Succession, a conflict that showcased Britain's growing influence on the global stage. Under her leadership, the nation emerged stronger and more cohesive, setting the stage for the empire building that would define the centuries to come. Queen Anne's story is a fascinating study in leadership during times of change. How do you balance personal struggles with the demands of governance? And what does it take to unite disparate groups into a single, cohesive whole? Her reign offers valuable lessons for anyone navigating the complexities of leadership, reminding us that even in the face of adversity, progress is possible. As we reflect on Anne's legacy, let's turn to another ruler whose life offers equally profound insights into the art of leadership and the power of vision. Imagine a kingdom so rich that its ruler's generosity literally altered the global economy. This was the Mali Empire in the 14th century, a West African powerhouse that controlled vast territories and thrived on the trade of gold, salt, and other precious goods. At the heart of this empire stood a man whose name became synonymous with wealth and influence, Mansa Musa, the ninth ruler of Mali and arguably one of the richest individuals in history. Mansa Musa's reign was defined by two extraordinary forces: his immense wealth and his deep devotion to Islam. His pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324 is the stuff of legend. Traveling with a caravan of tens of thousands, including soldiers, merchants, and slaves, he dazzled the cities he passed through with his generosity. Gold was distributed so freely that it temporarily devalued the precious metal in markets across the Middle East. This wasn't just a religious journey, it was a statement of Mali's power and prosperity, putting the empire on the global map. But Mansa Musa was far more than a lavish spender. He was a visionary leader who used his wealth to transform his kingdom. Under his rule, Timbuktu became a center of learning and culture, attracting scholars, architects, and artists from across the Islamic world. He commissioned the construction of mosques and universities, including the famous Sankore Madrasa, which became a beacon of knowledge and spirituality. His investments in infrastructure and education laid the foundation for Mali's enduring cultural legacy. Economic policies under Mansa Musa were equally forward-thinking. He stabilized the empire's economy by controlling the flow of gold, ensuring that Mali remained a dominant force in trans-Saharan trade. His reign fostered an era of peace and prosperity, allowing the empire to flourish both economically and culturally. However, Mansa Musa's legacy raises intriguing questions about leadership. Can immense wealth coexist with humility and piety? And how does a ruler balance personal faith with the needs of a diverse population? Mansa Musa's ability to navigate these complexities offers valuable lessons for leaders today. As we reflect on his reign, it's clear that Mansa Musa's impact extended far beyond his lifetime. He shaped the cultural and religious landscape of West Africa, leaving a legacy that continues to inspire. His story challenges us to think about the role of wealth in leadership and the ways in which power can be used to uplift an entire society. Now, let's turn to another monarch whose life offers equally fascinating insights into the art of leadership and the power of vision. Let's step into medieval Spain, a land of clashing swords, shifting alliances, and the relentless struggle known as the Reconquista, the centuries-long effort to reclaim the Iberian Peninsula from Muslim rule. Amid this turbulent backdrop, one ruler stands out not only for her political acumen, but for her sheer determination to hold her ground in a world dominated by men, Queen Urraca of Leon and Castile. Urraca's reign began in 1109, a time when the Christian kingdoms of northern Spain were fragmented and embroiled in both internal and external conflicts. As the daughter of King Alfonso VI, she inherited a sprawling yet unstable realm, and her ascent to the throne was anything but smooth. Facing opposition from nobles who doubted her ability to rule as a woman, Urraca had to prove herself at every turn. Her reign was marked by a series of fierce battles and complex alliances. She married Alfonso I of Aragon, a union intended to strengthen ties between their kingdoms, but the marriage quickly unraveled into a bitter struggle for power. Urraca's refusal to be sidelined by her husband sparked a war that became emblematic of her indomitable spirit. She fought not just to protect her throne, but to assert her right to rule in a society that often viewed women as unfit for leadership. Despite these challenges, Urraca demonstrated remarkable strategic skill. She expanded her territories, strengthened alliances, and worked to maintain stability in a region plagued by constant conflict. Her ability to navigate the treacherous waters of medieval politics speaks volumes about her resilience and intelligence. Yet, her story also raises important questions about the role of women in leadership. How did Urraca's gender shape her reign, and what can her struggles teach us about the obstacles faced by women in positions of power? Her legacy is a testament to the enduring strength of those who defy expectations and chart their own course. Queen Urraca's reign is a masterclass in resilience and strategy, offering valuable lessons for anyone grappling with adversity. As we reflect on her life, let's turn to another forgotten monarch whose story is equally compelling and full of surprises. The 16th century was a time of chaos and division in France, torn apart by the brutal wars of religion. Catholics and Huguenots, French Protestants fought bitterly, each side fueled by deep-seated animosity and a desire for dominance. Entire towns were razed, families torn apart, and the country teetered on the brink of collapse. Into this maelstrom stepped a king whose reign would become a turning point in French history, Henry Roman IV. Known as Henry of Navarre before ascending the throne, he was a pragmatic leader whose actions reshaped the destiny of France. Henry's journey to kingship was far from straightforward. As a Protestant, he faced staunch opposition from Catholic factions, and his path to the throne was marked by bloodshed and betrayal. Yet, once crowned in 1589, he made a bold and unprecedented decision, converting to Catholicism. Famously declaring, "Paris is worth a mass," Henry prioritized the stability of his kingdom over personal religious conviction. This pragmatic approach was a masterstroke, calming tensions and allowing him to focus on rebuilding a fractured nation. One of his most enduring legacies is the Edict of Nantes, issued in 1598. This groundbreaking decree granted Huguenots significant rights, including the freedom to worship in certain areas and access to public offices. It didn't eliminate religious conflict entirely, but it marked a crucial step toward coexistence. Henry understood that tolerance wasn't just a moral imperative, it was a practical necessity for unity. Beyond religion, Henry Roman IV spearheaded efforts to revitalize France's economy and infrastructure. He implemented policies to support agriculture, reduce taxes for the peasantry, and promote trade, earning him the nickname Good King Henry. His reign was a time of rebuilding and renewal, laying the groundwork for France's emergence as a major European power. Yet Henry's life was not without controversy. His assassination in 1610 cut short a reign that might have achieved even more. Still, his legacy endures as a testament to the power of compromise and pragmatic leadership. What can we learn from Henry Roman IV's ability to put aside personal convictions for the greater good? How does his story challenge us to think about the role of tolerance in leadership? These questions remain as relevant today as they were in Henry's time, reminding us that progress often requires both boldness and humility. As we reflect on Henry's remarkable reign, let's turn to another monarch whose life offers equally profound insights into the complexities of leadership and the human spirit. Travel with us to the rugged mountains and dense forests of 18th century Jamaica, a land of breathtaking beauty and unimaginable hardship. Here, amidst the brutality of British colonial rule, a remarkable figure emerged, uniting the oppressed and defying the might of an empire. Her name was Queen Nanny, a leader of the Maroons communities of escaped African slaves who carved out a life of freedom in the island's most remote regions. Her story is one of resilience, strategy, and unyielding courage, a testament to the power of resistance in the face of overwhelming odds. Queen Nanny's origins are shrouded in mystery, but her impact is undeniable. Born in West Africa and brought to Jamaica as a slave, she escaped captivity and became a central figure in the Maroon communities. Under her leadership, the Maroons waged a relentless guerrilla war against British forces. Nanny's mastery of guerrilla tactics, ambushes, camouflage, and hit-and-run attacks turned the island's rugged terrain into a formidable ally. Her strategic brilliance allowed the Maroons to hold their ground against a far superior military force, striking fear into the hearts of colonial authorities. But Queen Nanny's genius extended beyond the battlefield. She was also a skilled negotiator and diplomat. In 1739, after decades of conflict, she played a key role in securing a treaty with the British, granting the Maroons autonomy and land rights. This wasn't just a victory for the Maroons, it was a landmark moment in the fight against colonial oppression, setting a precedent for resistance movements around the world. Nanny's legacy lives on in Jamaica, where she is celebrated as a national hero. Her story is woven into the fabric of the island's culture, inspiring countless generations to stand up against injustice. Beyond Jamaica, she has become a global symbol of empowerment, a reminder that even in the darkest times, leadership and courage can spark profound change. What does Queen Nanny's story teach us about the nature of resistance? How can the strategies of the past inform our struggles for justice today? Her life challenges us to think about the ways in which marginalized communities have fought and continue to fight for their freedom. As we honor Queen Nanny's indomitable spirit, let's turn to another ruler whose life offers equally powerful lessons about leadership and the enduring quest for justice. Step into 13th century Spain, a vibrant crossroads of Christian, Muslim, and Jewish cultures, where ideas flowed as freely as the Guadalquivir River. This was a time of intellectual awakening, a golden age where science, literature, and the arts flourished. At the center of this cultural renaissance stood a ruler whose insatiable curiosity and visionary leadership left an indelible mark on history, King Alfonso X of Castile, known to posterity as the Wise. Alfonso's reign, which began in 1252, was defined by his passion for knowledge. Unlike many monarchs of his time who focused solely on conquest and power, Alfonso saw governance as an opportunity to elevate society through learning. He surrounded himself with scholars from all walks of life, astronomers, poets, historians, and legal experts, and commissioned groundbreaking works that would shape the intellectual landscape of his kingdom and beyond. One of his most significant achievements was the Siete Partidas, a comprehensive legal code that unified and modernized Castilian law. This monumental work didn't just lay the foundation for Spain's legal system, it emphasized justice, fairness, and the rule of law principles that remain central to governance today. Alfonso's commitment to codifying laws reflected his belief that a just society could only be built on a framework of order and equity. But Alfonso's intellectual pursuits didn't stop there. He was a patron of the sciences, particularly astronomy, and his court produced the Alphonsine Tables, a collection of astronomical data that became a cornerstone of medieval science. These tables, which charted the movements of celestial bodies, were used by scholars across Europe for centuries, demonstrating Alfonso's far-reaching influence. He also championed the arts, promoting the use of Castilian Spanish over Latin in official documents and literary works. This shift not only made knowledge more accessible to the common people, but also helped establish Spanish as a literary language. His court became a hub of creativity, producing works on history, philosophy, and even games that blended diverse cultural influences into a uniquely Spanish tapestry. Alfonso's reign raises profound questions about the role of intellectual leadership. Can a ruler's commitment to knowledge and culture shape the trajectory of a society? And how does the pursuit of wisdom influence the legacy of those who wield power? Alfonso's life challenges us to think about leadership not just in terms of strength or strategy, but as a force for enlightenment and progress. As we reflect on Alfonso's extraordinary contributions, let's turn to another forgotten monarch whose story offers equally compelling insights into the power of vision and the enduring impact of leadership. Now, let's journey to the tropical paradise of Hawaii in the late 19th century, a time of profound change and upheaval. As American expansionism gained momentum, the islands found themselves caught in the crosshairs of colonial ambition. It was against this backdrop that Queen Liliʻuokalani ascended the throne in 1891, becoming the last monarch of the Hawaiian kingdom. Her story is one of resilience, cultural pride, and a fierce determination to protect her people's sovereignty. Liliʻuokalani's reign began with a clear vision: to restore power to the Hawaiian monarchy and safeguard her nation's independence. Her predecessor, King Kalakaua, had been forced to sign the Bayonet Constitution in 1887, a document that stripped the monarchy of much of its authority and granted disproportionate power to American and European business interests. Liliʻuokalani sought to undo this injustice by drafting a new constitution that would reassert Hawaiian control over their own governance, but her efforts were met with fierce resistance. A group of American businessmen and sugar planters backed by U.S. military forces staged a coup in 1893, overthrowing the Queen and establishing a provisional government. Liliʻuokalani's response was both measured and defiant. She appealed to the United States government, hoping that justice would prevail and her kingdom would be restored. Despite her pleas, Hawaii was formally annexed by the United States in 1898, marking the end of the Hawaiian monarchy. Throughout this tumultuous period, Liliʻuokalani remained a steadfast advocate for her people. She composed Aloha O, one of Hawaii's most beloved songs, which became a poignant expression of her love for her homeland and its culture. She also wrote Hawaii's Story by Hawaii's Queen, a memoir that documented the events of the overthrow and served as a powerful testament to her enduring spirit. Liliʻuokalani's legacy extends far beyond her reign. Today, she is celebrated as a symbol of Hawaiian resilience and cultural pride. Her efforts to preserve her nation's sovereignty continue to inspire movements for indigenous rights and self-determination around the world. What can we learn from Liliʻuokalani's leadership in the face of overwhelming odds? How does her story challenge us to think about the impact of colonialism and the importance of cultural preservation? Her life offers a powerful reminder that even in the darkest times, the spirit of a people can never be extinguished. As we honor Queen Liliʻuokalani's enduring legacy, let's turn to another monarch whose life offers equally profound lessons about leadership and the human spirit. Now, let's travel back to the late 4th century, a time when the Korean peninsula was a patchwork of rival kingdoms vying for dominance. This was the Three Kingdoms period, a dynamic era of shifting alliances, fierce battles, and cultural flourishing. Amid this tumultuous landscape, one ruler emerged as a towering figure whose vision and prowess would leave an indelible mark on Korean history: King Gwanggaeto the Great of Goguryeo. Gwanggaeto ascended the throne in 391 CE, inheriting a kingdom that was already a regional power. But he didn't settle for the status quo. Over the course of his remarkable reign, he expanded Goguryeo's borders to their greatest extent, stretching from modern-day Manchuria deep into the Korean peninsula. His military campaigns were nothing short of extraordinary. He led his armies to victory against Beech, Silla, and even the powerful Khitan tribes, securing Goguryeo's place as the dominant force in the region. But Gwanggaeto wasn't just a conqueror, he was a master strategist who understood the importance of diplomacy. He skillfully forged alliances when necessary, ensuring that Goguryeo could consolidate its gains and maintain stability. His reign was marked by a delicate balance of military might and political acumen, a combination that allowed him to achieve what few leaders could: One of his most enduring legacies is the Gwanggaeto stele, a towering stone monument inscribed with details of his achievements. This stele, erected by his son, is one of the most important historical records of ancient Korea, offering a glimpse into the life of a ruler whose ambition knew no bounds. It's a testament to his vision and the profound impact he had on the course of Korean history. Gwanggaeto's reign raises thought-provoking questions about leadership. How does one balance the demands of military expansion with the need for diplomatic finesse? And what does it take to build a legacy that endures for centuries? His story challenges us to think about the complexities of power and the ways in which leaders shape the destiny of their people. As we reflect on Gwanggaeto's extraordinary life, let's turn to another monarch whose story offers equally fascinating insights into the art of leadership and the enduring quest for greatness. Now, let's step into the golden sands of ancient Egypt, where the Nile's life-giving waters nurtured one of history's most extraordinary civilizations. It's the Middle Kingdom, a period of stability and cultural flourishing, yet one marked by rigid traditions and deeply entrenched gender roles. In this world where pharaohs were almost exclusively men, one woman defied convention to claim the throne, Queen Sobekneferu, the first confirmed female pharaoh of Egypt. Sobekneferu's ascent to power wasn't just a historical anomaly, it was a bold statement in a society that viewed leadership as inherently masculine. She ruled during the 12th dynasty, taking the throne after the death of her brother, Amenemhat IV, who left no male heir. While some inscriptions suggest she may have initially served as a co-regent, her reign marked a turning point, proving that women could wield the same authority as their male counterparts. Her rule, though relatively short, was marked by significant accomplishments. Sobekneferu took on the full regalia of a pharaoh, including the traditional double crown of Upper and Lower Egypt, and adopted titles that emphasized her divine right to rule. She embraced her role as a unifier, working to maintain stability during a period of transition. Her reign also saw advancements in administration, as she sought to strengthen Egypt's bureaucracy and ensure the kingdom's prosperity. One of her most notable contributions was to architecture. Sobekneferu commissioned the construction of monuments and temples, leaving her mark on the landscape of her kingdom. Though many of these structures have been lost to time, her efforts reflect a commitment to preserving Egypt's cultural and religious heritage. Her reign was a testament to the idea that leadership isn't about gender, it's about vision, determination, and the ability to inspire. Queen Sobekneferu's story raises important questions about the role of women in history. How did she navigate the challenges of ruling in a male-dominated society? And what can her legacy teach us about the barriers that women leaders continue to face today? Her reign challenges us to rethink the narratives of history and recognize the contributions of those who dared to break the mold. As we honor Sobekneferu's groundbreaking legacy, let's explore another figure whose life offers equally profound insights into the complexities of leadership and the enduring quest for justice. Nestled in the highlands of East Africa lies a land of extraordinary beauty and deep spiritual heritage, medieval Ethiopia. This was a kingdom unlike any other, a bastion of Christianity in a region surrounded by diverse faiths and cultures. Ethiopia's unique religious identity, rooted in the ancient traditions of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, was a source of pride and unity for its people. It was also a land of innovation, where faith and artistry merged in ways that left an indelible mark on history. At the center of this cultural and spiritual renaissance was a visionary king whose name has become synonymous with Ethiopia's golden age, King Lalibela. Lalibela's reign in the 12th and 13th centuries was defined by his unwavering devotion to Christianity and his desire to create a New Jerusalem in Ethiopia. This vision was born out of necessity. The traditional pilgrimage routes to the Holy Land had become increasingly dangerous due to the rise of Muslim powers in the region. Lalibela's solution: to carve a sacred city out of solid rock, a place where Ethiopian Christians could worship and connect with their faith without leaving their homeland. The result was the rock-hewn churches of Lalibela, a staggering feat of engineering and artistry. These churches, carved directly into the volcanic rock, are a testament to human ingenuity and devotion. Each structure is unique, with intricate carvings, arches, and windows that seem to defy gravity. The most famous of these, the Church of St. George, is shaped like a cross and stands as a symbol of Lalibela's vision and determination. But these churches were more than just architectural marvels. They were a statement of Ethiopia's spiritual and cultural identity, a place where the sacred and the earthly converge. Lalibela's legacy extends far beyond the churches themselves. By establishing this holy city, he positioned Ethiopia as a center of pilgrimage and religious significance, drawing believers from across the Christian world. His efforts not only strengthened the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, but also fostered a sense of unity and purpose among his people. What can we learn from Lalibela's approach to leadership? How did his faith shape his vision for his kingdom, and what role did architecture play in expressing that vision? His life challenges us to think about the ways in which leaders use art, culture, and spirituality to inspire and unite their people. Even today, Lalibela's churches remain a place of worship and wonder, drawing visitors from around the globe. They are a living testament to his enduring legacy, a reminder that great leadership can create something that transcends time and speaks to the deepest aspirations of the human spirit. As we reflect on King Lalibela's extraordinary achievements, let's turn to another monarch whose story offers equally profound insights into the intersection of faith, culture, and leadership. Let's step into the 3rd century Roman Empire, a sprawling dominion that stretched from Britain to the deserts of the Middle East. But in the heart of this vast empire, a rebellion was brewing, one led by a queen whose ambition and courage would shake the foundations of Roman authority. Her name was Queen Zenobia of Palmyra, a ruler who defied the odds to carve out her own empire and challenge one of the most powerful forces in history. Zenobia's story begins in Palmyra, a wealthy and strategically located city in modern-day Syria. As the Roman Empire faced internal strife and external threats, Zenobia seized the opportunity to expand her influence. She declared Palmyra's independence and embarked on a campaign of conquest, extending her empire across Egypt, Asia Minor, and much of the Levant. Her audacity was matched by her military genius. She led her armies personally, employing innovative tactics and forging alliances that made her a formidable opponent. But Zenobia was more than just a warrior queen. She was a patron of culture and learning, transforming Palmyra into a hub of intellectual and artistic activity. She surrounded herself with scholars, philosophers, and poets, fostering a vibrant cultural scene that rivaled even Rome itself. Her rule also saw a blending of Roman and Eastern traditions, creating a unique identity for her empire that reflected her vision and ambition. Despite her successes, Zenobia's rebellion was ultimately short-lived. In 272 CE, the Roman Emperor Aurelian launched a decisive campaign against Palmyra, defeating Zenobia's forces and capturing the queen herself. While some accounts suggest she was paraded through Rome in golden chains, others claim she was treated with respect and allowed to live out her days in exile. Regardless of her fate, her legacy as a defiant and visionary leader endures. Zenobia's story challenges us to think about the nature of ambition and resistance. What does it take to stand up to an empire, and how does one balance the pursuit of power with the desire for cultural and intellectual flourishing? her life offers a fascinating glimpse into the complexities of leadership in a world dominated by giants. As we reflect on Zenobia's extraordinary achievements, let's turn to another monarch whose life offers equally compelling lessons about courage, strategy, and the enduring impact of leadership. Now, let's journey to the windswept fjords and rugged coastlines of 9th century Scandinavia, a time when the Viking Age was in full swing. This was an era of fierce warriors, daring explorers, and petty kings locked in endless power struggles. Amid this chaotic landscape, one figure emerged with the ambition to unite a fractured land: King Harald Fairhair, the man credited with forging Norway into a single kingdom. Harald's story begins with a challenge. Legend has it that he vowed not to cut or comb his hair until he had unified the disparate regions of Norway under his rule. It was a bold declaration, one that set the stage for a lifetime of relentless campaigning. Over decades, Harald waged war against rival chieftains, forging alliances when possible and crushing resistance when necessary. His victory at the Battle of Hatshepsut around 872 CE is often seen as the turning point, a moment when he cemented his dominance and earned the nickname Fairhair after finally grooming his now famous locks. Unifying Norway was no small feat. The region was a patchwork of independent tribes, each fiercely protective of its autonomy. Harald's strategy was as much about diplomacy as it was about force. He rewarded loyal allies with land and titles, while those who resisted faced exile or worse. Over time, his efforts began to take root, creating the foundations of a centralized kingdom. Yet Harald's reign was far from smooth. His push for unity sparked resistance, driving many of his opponents to flee Norway and settle in places like Iceland and the Faroe Islands. These exiles, ironically, became key players in the Viking expansion, spreading Norse culture and influence across the North Atlantic. Harald's legacy is complex. On one hand, he is celebrated as the founder of the Norwegian monarchy, a visionary leader who laid the groundwork for a unified nation. On the other, his methods were often brutal, and his rule reshaped the lives of countless people for better or worse. His story raises important questions about leadership in turbulent times. How does one balance ambition with the need for stability, and what does it take to unite a fractured society? Harald Fairhair's life offers a fascinating glimpse into the challenges of unification and the enduring impact of a leader's vision. As we reflect on his legacy, let's turn to another monarch whose story provides equally compelling insights into the complexities of power and the human spirit. The 19th century was a time of unprecedented transformation, a period when the world seemed to shrink as empires expanded, technology advanced, and ideas spread like wildfire. At the heart of this global revolution was the British Empire, a sprawling dominion where the sun never set, ruling over a quarter of the Earth's land and people. It was an era of progress and paradox where innovation soared alongside inequality, and the reach of empire extended far beyond its borders. And at the center of it all stood Queen Victoria, a monarch whose 63-year reign would come to define not just Britain, but an entire age that still bears her name, the Victorian era. Victoria ascended the throne in 1837, a young queen thrust into power at a time of great uncertainty. Yet she quickly proved herself to be a figure of resilience and vision. Her reign coincided with the height of Britain's imperial power, and she became a symbol of its global influence. From the Industrial Revolution to the expansion of railways, from the rise of the middle class to the moral codes that shaped society, Victoria's era was a time of profound change. She wasn't just a passive observer, she actively shaped the monarchy's role in this new world, redefining it as a unifying force for the nation. One of Victoria's most significant contributions was her ability to humanize the monarchy. Her marriage to Prince Albert, a union of love as much as politics, introduced a new model of family life that resonated with the public. Together, they championed education, science, and the arts, leaving a legacy of cultural and intellectual enrichment. After Albert's untimely death, Victoria's grief transformed her into a figure of empathy, further endearing her to her subjects. But Victoria's impact extended far beyond Britain's shores. As Empress of India, she became the symbolic head of an empire that spanned continents. Her reign saw the consolidation of British power in Asia, Africa, and the Americas, and her name became synonymous with imperial ambition. Yet, this legacy is complex, marked by both progress and exploitation, and it continues to spark debate about the nature of empire. Even today, Victoria's influence is everywhere. From the British monarchy's enduring traditions to the architectural marvels of the Victorian age, her reign left an indelible mark on modern Britain. Her ability to adapt to a changing world, to embody both tradition and progress, makes her one of history's most fascinating figures. What can we learn from Victoria's reign? How does her legacy challenge us to think about the role of monarchy in a modern world? Her story invites us to reflect on the ways leaders shape their societies and how their decisions echo through the ages. As we explore her life, let's consider the lessons she offers about leadership, resilience, and the enduring power of a single name to define an era.